22 minutes of pure fire, there will come a moment in your life, and maybe that moment is now, when the noise fades, the voices disappear, the applause stops, the support you expected doesn't show up, and you will stand there alone. And in that moment, something inside you will whisper, there is a season that comes to every person who is marked for something greater, a season that feels like loss, like distance, like silence. You pray, and the heavens seem quiet. You speak, and no one responds. You step forward, and the crowd does not follow. It feels like you've been pushed out into a barren place where the familiar comforts are gone. But what if this wilderness is not punishment? What if it is preparation? The wilderness strips you. It takes away the noise that once distracted you. It removes the applause that once validated you. It silences the voices that once influenced you. And in that silence, something uncomfortable happens. You begin to hear your own heartbeat. You begin to confront your own thoughts. You begin to see who you are without the mask, without the stage, without the safety net. That is terrifying, because when everything external is removed, you can no longer blame the world. You can no longer hide behind busyness. You can no longer postpone growth. The wilderness forces you to face yourself, the fears you buried, the insecurities you ignored, the wounds you covered with achievement. It feels lonely, it feels unfair. You may even ask, why am I here? What did I do to deserve this isolation? But the wilderness is not about what you did wrong. It is about what you are being shaped to do right. Seeds are not planted in crowds. They are buried in hidden ground. Covered, pressed, surrounded by darkness, if a seed could speak, it might call that burial abandonment. It might call it death. But what feels like burial is actually transformation. What feels like isolation is actually activation. There are things that can only grow in you when the spotlight is gone. Character grows in obscurity. Discipline grows in solitude. Faith grows in silence. When no one sees your effort and you keep going, strength is born. When no one applauds your progress and you continue anyway, integrity is formed. When no one understands your journey and you still move forward, conviction takes root. The wilderness reveals what comforts were controlling you. It reveals which relationships were crutches. It reveals which habits were numbing your potential. And once those things are exposed, you have a choice: cling to them or let them fall away. It hurts to let go, it hurts to release what felt safe, but you cannot carry comfort into calling. You cannot carry dependence into destiny. The wilderness teaches you to stand without leaning, to breathe without panic, to believe without evidence. It builds a kind of inner stability that cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance. And when you emerge from it, because you will emerge, you will not be the same. You will speak differently. You will walk differently. You will think differently, not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. So if you are in a season where you feel alone, where doors have closed, where support has faded, do not assume you have been forgotten. You have been set apart. This is sacred ground, even if it feels like sand beneath your feet. The wilderness is not your grave. It is your forge, and what is being forged in you right now will carry a weight of strength that applause could never produce. Stay there, grow there, because what feels like isolation today is shaping the power you will walk in tomorrow. We are taught to fight our negative feelings as if they are enemies, to silence them, to bury them, to pretend they don't exist. We smile when we are breaking. We say, "I'm fine," when we are drowning. We distract ourselves so we don't have to sit in the discomfort. But what if the feelings you are trying to escape are actually trying to teach you something. Fear doesn't just show up to paralyze you. It shows up to reveal where you doubt your own strength. Jealousy doesn't just show up to make you bitter. It exposes the desire you're too afraid to admit. Anger doesn't just explode for no reason. It points to a boundary that was crossed, a wound that was never healed. Loneliness doesn't just ache to hurt you. It reveals the parts of you that crave connection not just with others, but with yourself. Negative feelings are messengers, but we treat the messenger like the enemy. When anxiety rises in your chest, your first instinct is to push it down. When shame whispers in your mind, you try to outrun it. When sadness lingers, you numb it with noise, with scrolling, with busyness, with anything that keeps you from sitting still. Yet the very thing you are avoiding may hold the key to your growth, because emotions are signals. They are indicators that something within you needs attention. If you never feel fear, you will never discover courage. If you never feel rejection, you will never develop resilience. If you never feel doubt, you will never learn to stand on conviction. The presence of negative emotion does not mean you are weak. It means you are human, and being human is not a flaw. It is the arena where strength is forged. The problem is not that you feel fear. The problem is when you let fear define you. The problem is not that you feel unworthy. The problem is when you accept unworthiness as your identity. There is a difference between experiencing an emotion and becoming it. You can feel anxiety without becoming an anxious person. You can feel sadness without becoming a hopeless soul. You can feel anger without becoming a bitter heart. The emotion is a wave. You are the ocean. Waves rise, waves crash, waves pass, but the ocean remains. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this feeling?" ask, "What is this feeling revealing? What belief is hiding underneath it? What memory is still unhealed? What dream is still unpursued?" Sometimes your frustration is revealing untapped potential. Sometimes your envy is revealing the calling you've been suppressing. Sometimes your anger is revealing that you've been silent too long. Sometimes your sadness is revealing that you have been strong for too long without rest. When you stop fighting your emotions and start listening to them, they lose their power to control you. Because you are no longer running, you are responding. And here is the truth that sets you free. Emotions are real, but they are not rulers. They are indicators, not dictators. They can inform you, but they do not get to command you. You are allowed to feel deeply without being destroyed by what you feel. Sit with the discomfort. Let it speak. Let it show you what needs healing, what needs courage, what needs change. And once you have heard its message, rise above it. Use it, grow from it. Your negative feelings are not proof that you are broken. They are proof that something inside you is ready to break through. There is a kind of strength that can only be built in silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence where no one is watching, no one is clapping, no one is validating your effort. It is the silence that tests whether you truly believe in what you are doing, or if you were only moving because someone was cheering. When the applause fades, something inside you is exposed. Why are you still here? Why are you still trying? Why are you still building? If the answer depends on recognition, you will stop. If it depends on praise, you will quit. If it depends on attention, you will slowly lose momentum. But if it depends on conviction, you become unstoppable. Because conviction does not need noise. Some of the most powerful transformations in your life will happen in rooms where nobody sees you cry. In moments when you choose discipline over distraction. In nights when you want to give up, but you whisper to yourself, "Not today." Those whispers matter more than 1,000 cheers. Applause feels good. It gives you a rush. It makes you feel seen. But applause can be addictive, and when you depend on it, you start performing instead of growing. You start chasing approval instead of purpose. You start adjusting your path to keep people comfortable. Silence breaks that addiction. Silence forces you to confront your motives. It asks the uncomfortable question, would you still do this if nobody ever noticed? Would you still wake up early if nobody praised your discipline? Would you still practice if nobody complimented your skill? Would you still give your best if nobody thanked you? In silence, your character is revealed. Because when no one is watching, there is no reward except who you are becoming. That is where integrity is born, not in public victories, but in private decisions. The decision to stay focused when distractions call your name. The decision to stay faithful when shortcuts tempt you. The decision to keep going when quitting would be easier and no one would blame you. Silence is uncomfortable because it feels like invisibility. It feels like your effort is unnoticed. It feels like you are shouting into a void, but what you cannot see is that something is forming inside you. A foundation, a depth, a resilience that applause could never build. Applause celebrates outcomes. Silence builds identity. In the quiet, you learn to encourage yourself. You learn to validate your own progress. You learn to measure success by growth, not by recognition. And that changes everything, because when you are no longer controlled by applause, you are no longer controlled by criticism either. The same crowd that cheers today can doubt you tomorrow. The same voices that lift you up can tear you down. If your strength is built on their noise, it will collapse with their silence. But if your strength is built in silence, it cannot be shaken by noise. There is something sacred about doing the work when no one is looking. It humbles you, it sharpens you, it grounds you, it teaches you patience, it teaches you endurance, it teaches you to find joy in the process instead of just the reward. And one day, when the doors open and the spotlight finds you, you will not be overwhelmed by it because you were forged without it. What was built in silence will stand in public, and the world may see the victory, but only you will know the nights of doubt you overcame, the battles you fought alone, the tears you wiped away before showing up again. Silence was not your punishment. It was your preparation, and what it built in you, applause could never take away. There comes a moment in every life where the crowd thins out. The people who said, "I'm with you," slowly disappear. The ones who promised support grow quiet, and you look around and realize the path in front of you has narrowed to a single set of footprints, yours. That moment hurts more than we admit, because we were not designed to crave isolation. We were designed for connection. So when you have to stand alone, it can feel like rejection. It can feel like betrayal. It can feel like something is wrong with you. But sometimes standing alone is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are leading. When you choose growth, not everyone will follow. When you choose discipline, not everyone will understand. When you choose faith over fear, vision over comfort, purpose over popularity, some people will step back. Not because they hate you, but because your direction confronts their hesitation. And if you wait for everyone to be ready before you move, you will never move. There is a courage that only awakens when you realize no one is coming to carry you. No one is coming to make the decision for you. No one is coming to fight your internal battles. In that realization, something shifts. You stop looking around for permission. You stop searching faces for approval. You stop shrinking yourself to keep company. You stand, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart pounds, even if doubt whispers, "What if you fail?" Standing alone does not mean you are fearless. It means you have decided that your calling is louder than your fear. The truth is, dependence can be subtle. We depend on validation. We depend on reassurance. We depend on someone else believing before we believe. And when that belief is not given, we feel paralyzed. But the day you learn to stand without external reinforcement, you become free. Free from the need to impress. Free from the fear of disapproval. Free from the pressure to conform. Because you realize something powerful. If you can stand by yourself, you can withstand anything. Standing alone builds a backbone inside you. It teaches you how to make hard decisions. It teaches you how to endure criticism without collapsing. It teaches you how to continue forward even when the road is uncertain. And yes, it will feel lonely at times. There will be nights when you wish someone understood. There will be moments when you question if it's worth it. There will be tears you wipe away in private because you don't want anyone to see the weight you carry. But those private battles are shaping public strength. Leadership is not about how many people clap for you. It is about how firmly you can stand when no one does. When you stand alone, you discover your true foundation. If your foundation is people's opinions, you will crumble. If your foundation is trends, you will sway. But if your foundation is conviction, deep, unshakable conviction, you will remain. And here is the mystery. When you have the courage to stand alone, you inspire others to rise. Not because you begged them, not because you convinced them, but because strength is contagious. Someone is watching you refuse to quit. Someone is watching you stay consistent. Someone is watching you choose integrity over ease. They may not say it now. They may not stand with you yet, but your courage is lighting a path. So stand. Stand when it's uncomfortable. Stand when it costs you. Stand when it feels unfair. Because the one who can stand alone is never truly weak. They are simply strong enough to move before the crowd catches up. There is a silent agreement many of us make without realizing it. An agreement with the darkness, an agreement with the voice that says, "This is just who you are." The voice that reminds you of your worst mistake. The voice that replays the embarrassment, the failure, the rejection. And over time, you stop arguing with it. You stop resisting it. You accept it. You begin to live inside a story that was never meant to define you. Maybe someone once told you that you weren't good enough. Maybe you failed in a way that shook your confidence to the core. Maybe you trusted the wrong person and paid the price. Maybe you tried and it didn't work, and the shame of that attempt still lingers. And without realizing it, you signed an internal contract. I guess this is my limit. I guess this is who I am. I guess I'll never change. That is the agreement. And it is built on a lie. Darkness is persuasive. It doesn't shout all the time. Sometimes it whispers. It whispers when you're tired. It whispers when you compare yourself to others. It whispers when you scroll through someone else's highlight reel and measure it against your behind the scenes struggle. It tells you that you're behind, that you're damaged, that you missed your chance. But here is the truth. Pain is something you experienced. It is not your identity. Failure is an event. It is not your name. Rejection is something that happened. It is not your worth. The moment you confuse what happened to you with who you are, the agreement tightens. You start shrinking your dreams to fit your insecurity. You stop trying because it feels safer than risking confirmation of the lie. You build walls around your heart and call it protection, but protection can become prison. Breaking the agreement begins with awareness. You have to catch the lie in the act. When the voice says, "You always mess things up," pause and ask, "Is that absolutely true?" When it says, "You'll never succeed," challenge it. When it says, "You're not worthy of love, respect, or success," confront it, because not every thought deserves your trust. You have more authority over your inner world than you think. Just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it deserves to stay. Just because a memory resurfaces does not mean it has the right to control your future. Breaking agreement is not pretending the pain never happened. It's refusing to let it dictate your destiny. Yes, you may have scars. Yes, you may have regrets. Yes, you may have chapters you wish you could rewrite. But scars prove you survived. Regrets prove you learned, and chapters can turn. You are not locked into your lowest moment. There is a stronger identity waiting beneath the weight of that lie. An identity rooted not in what you did wrong, but in what you are capable of becoming. But you cannot step into it while still shaking hands with your darkness. So break the handshake. Say, "That mistake is not my master." Say, "That voice is not my authority." Say, "That past is not my prison." It may not feel powerful at first, the lie may return, but every time you reject it, its grip weakens. You were never meant to carry the weight of a false identity, and the moment you break agreement with your darkness is the moment you begin to walk in freedom. There is a storm that visits every life, a storm that shakes what you thought was secure, a storm that rattles your confidence, tests your faith, and pushes against your identity. It doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't care about your timing, it just comes, and when it comes, it feels overwhelming. The winds of criticism, the rain of doubt, the thunder of unexpected loss, the lightning of betrayal. In those moments, it is easy to believe that what surrounds you is stronger than what is within you. The noise outside gets so loud that you forget there is a deeper sound inside your chest, the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat, the proof that you are still here, still breathing, still standing. Storms are dramatic. They demand attention. They make you feel small. But here is the truth most people never realize. Storms are temporary. They move. They pass. They exhaust themselves. The fire within you, if you protect it, does not. There is something placed inside you that adversity cannot manufacture and opposition cannot erase. A spark of resilience, a quiet defiance that says, "I will not break." Even when you cry, that spark remains. Even when you feel afraid, it flickers. Even when you fall to your knees, it does not go out. But you have to choose to believe it's there. Because storms will try to convince you otherwise. They will tell you that this hardship is permanent, that this pain defines your future, that this setback is the end of your story. And if you listen long enough, you may start building your identity around the storm instead of the fire. You start introducing yourself by your struggle. You start expecting disappointment. You start bracing for impact instead of believing for breakthrough. But you are not a product of the storm. You are the keeper of the flame, and flames are tested by wind, not destroyed by it. In fact, sometimes wind makes fire burn brighter if it is rooted deeply enough. The key is depth. If your confidence is shallow, the storm will uproot it. If your sense of worth depends on circumstances, the storm will shake it. But if your fire is rooted in something deeper, purpose, conviction, belief, then the storm becomes fuel. Pain can either extinguish you or strengthen you. Criticism can either silence you or sharpen you. Delay can either frustrate you or forge patience in you. The difference is not in the size of the storm. It is in the strength of your fire. You have survived things you once thought would destroy you. There were nights you didn't think you would make it through, and yet here you are. There were moments when you felt completely overwhelmed, and yet something carried you forward. That something was not luck. It was the fire within. You are stronger than your worst day. You are deeper than your current struggle. You are more powerful than the pressure around you. So when the storm rages, don't focus only on the noise outside. Turn inward, guard your thoughts, protect your belief. Feed your fire with truth instead of fear. Remind yourself of who you are beyond this moment. Storms create fear, fire creates light, and no matter how dark the sky becomes, one steady flame can defy the night. The storm around you may be fierce, but the fire within you is greater. Hold on to it, protect it, feed it, and watch how it carries you through what was meant to break you.